The Carol of the Candles. It was Christmas Eve in Candle City. In a bleak back room, a red, half-spent candle burned in an old whiskey glass, the bottom half of which was filled with old cigarette butts, an empty matchbook, and a couple of champagne corks. The candle's name was Miriam, and her flame danced brightly as tiny streams of wax trickled down her sides, which were draped with a string of cheap glass beads. Miriam was a barmaid at the Boiler Room Bar located at the north end of town. On this Christmas Eve, as heavy snowfall covered the city, and families and friends gathered around their Christmas trees, the Boiler Room Bar was all but empty. One lone customer sat at the bar, talking to the bored bartender who was leaning back against the sink with his arms folded. At a small table in the back of the bar, Miriam sat with her arm around a young sailor, his head resting on her shoulder. The sailor was homesick and melancholy. It was Christmas Eve, and he was far from home. Miriam sang softly to him, "I'll be home for Christmas. Just you wait," when suddenly the front door flew open. Into the bar blew a white whirlwind of snow. In the center of the swirl stood 3 tall, white candles, carrying bags filled with gift boxes. "Excuse us, please," said the tallest of the 3 candles, each of whose wicks were still perfectly wrapped in wax. "We've got some stuff for the poor people. Would you direct us to the shelter for the homeless?" Miriam stood up and, wearing her best smile, walked over to greet the 3 strangers. "Merry Christmas and welcome to the Boiler Room Bar. Care for a drink?" "No, thank you, miss. It's late and we have to get back to midnight mass. Could you kindly direct us to the shelter for the homeless?" "Oh, sure, that's easy," replied Miriam. "Straight down this street, 3 blocks on your left. It's inside that old warehouse by the train tracks. But maybe you can stop here on your way back. We all can have a little Christmas cheer together. Don't forget now." The 3 tall candles thanked her and left the bar. As they walked down the street, one said, "Whew, she was something else. I bet before the night's over, she'll roll that drunk sailor for all he's got." "Did you notice," said the second candle, "she's got the disease. She's already wasting away. Why don't those kind of people take care of themselves?" After a pause, the third candle said, "There but the grace of God go I." Walking in silence, the 3 candles, carrying their bags of gifts, disappeared into the darkness of the night. Sometime later, the 3 white candles, without their bags of gifts, came walking back up the street. The snow swirled in great white clouds around a neon light flashing, "Bar, bar, bar." Beneath it stood Miriam, looking up at the falling snow with the wide-eyed wonder of a child who was delighting in the winter ballet for the first time. When she saw the 3 approaching, she called out happily, "Hey, did you 3 find the place okay?" "Yes, thank you," answered the tallest of the 3 candles. "Your directions were excellent." "Well, have a very merry—" "That was neat of you 3. I mean, bringing gifts down here to the poor on Christmas Eve." "I'd tip my hat to you," giggled Miriam, "if I wore one." "We don't see beautiful candles like you down here very often. You're so tall and straight, so perfectly white." "Thank you, miss," said one of them. "You see, we're church candles. We're made of pure, guaranteed natural beeswax. See, it's stamped right here on us. Church law requires that, you know. Nothing less than 51% pure beeswax for us church candles." "And," said another, "we're not just ordinary church candles. We're also blessed candles." "Really?" said Miriam in amazement. I guess I should have known by just looking at you. How lucky you are. I mean, to be blessed by the church and to be so pure. 51% natural beeswax. Yes, and also, miss, said the third candle, besides being blessed, the three of us have a mission in life. A mission, said Miriam in amazement. You mean you've got some higher purpose for being alive? Gosh, you three are really fortunate. Most of us just live day to day trying to make ends meet. Hey, how about that drink I offered you? Don't worry, it's on me tonight. After all, this is Christmas Eve. Thank you, miss, but we've got to keep moving or we'll miss midnight mass. Merry Christmas and God bless you. The three candles turned to leave, casting sly side glances at one another. Hey, wait a minute, said Miriam. I forgot to ask, what is your mission in life? The three proudly answered in one voice. We've been called to be the light of the world. Yeah, replied Miriam. But you ain't even a flame. Look, your wicks are still wrapped in wax. Regardless of how much pure beeswax you've got in you, or if you've been blessed by the church, how are you going to be the light of the world if you're not a fire? You three had better pray. Yeah, pray for a miracle, a Christmas miracle. You're going to need one if you're going to be the light of the world. She waved goodbye to the three, then, shaking her head, Miriam turned and went back into the bar to give a little love to that young sailor. As the three tall white candles hurried down the street toward their BMW, one said, "What did she say?" She said, "We'd better pray for a miracle," replied the second candle. "What kind of miracle?" asked the first candle. "I'm not sure. Did you notice, though, that there was something really different about that red candle?" The second one wondered. "Oh, who could have missed it?" said the third candle. "She was on fire. But you know as well as I what that means. She's got the disease that wastes you away. It's all a matter of time before she's gone." "Oh, I know that," said the second candle. "But did you see the way she lit up that dingy bar? And what she did to this dark street, even with all this snow falling? She outshone that neon light. Maybe she meant that we should pray to be set on fire so that our light really can shine." "We'll shine in heaven when God calls us home," retorted the first candle. "Yeah, I know that," the second candle answered. "But what if we're supposed to shine now? I think we ought to pray." The three candles stood in silence as the snow stopped falling and the clouds parted to reveal a star-crowded sky. The three prayed aloud. "Oh God, set us on fire tonight, here, now." Then the three white candles bent their heads in silent prayer. In the process, however, they failed to see the shooting star. It was huge. It blazed across the night sky like a giant 4th of July sparkler. Someone who saw the star that night said it was a Chinese satellite re-entering the atmosphere. Others claimed it was a UFO. Whatever it was, it fell directly onto the street, a block down from the boiler room bar, in a gigantic explosion of silent light, causing the three wicks of the three tall white candles to burst into flame.
And save your people from dark and night. all